You're listening to the Scottish Football Forums podcast, the home of Scottish football banter.
Scottish Football Forums podcast. It's Dave here, and we're here with Kevin Lynch. Kevin's from the North East Tartan Army. Kevin, what a year you've had, both in terms of your own, obviously, organisation, but also the team as well. We'll come on to the team in a bit, but what a year for organisation.
Yeah, amazing. North East Tartan Army just keeps getting bigger every year, and everything we kind of snowballs, which is a good thing. So, it's getting stronger every year.
Absolutely. So the Christmas Crusade, you obviously hold that every year, and it was great because I know you had PG Charletta. I know on the Sunday you held it at Peterhead Football Club on the Sunday, and you had the North East Quine there and that. So you obviously had a good range of guests, but obviously it was about helping out the children and making sure that they got all the presents that they wanted when they're going to be, not underappreciated, but they're going to have a tough time this festive period.
Yeah, so this was our fourth year we've done it. So it started off with just getting a few presents together and going up to the hospital, and then every year it's kind of snowballed, and everybody kind of wants to do it and keep involved, and it's just become an annual event for us. But this year we had one of our members, Bronwyn Heatherwick. She works at Weatherford and Altons, and they really took things on as well, and it was probably the biggest one we've had. So again, kids got sorted out at the hospital, and then last year we had quite a lot of stuff left over, so we started basically just offering parents and children that maybe are struggling a wee bit in the community just to come up and get either like a gift for themselves or a gift for their family. And yeah, it was really well received last year, so we did it again this year, and again it was really well received. So every year we'll keep doing it until there's no need for it. But I think in this day and age there's always going to be something needed for it. So yeah, the guys enjoy it. The guys get to go and run right, and Smiths, that's probably the only reason they'll get involved. For the main reason, they just love running about like daft days and filling their trolleys up with stuff.
You also mentioned Burnwood there, but also the donations you get from the community. I think you had a GoFundMe page as well, did you?
Yeah, it was a Just Giving page this year that we had, and yeah, the guys we put it on our page, and whether it's guys that follow the page and support it or family members, everybody seems to get behind and support it. And like this year, as you said, we had Gully Singh, who does his he's like does a lot of stuff on TikTok and kind of broadcasting and stuff. He came up along with PG Claretta. Yeah, so he was up as well. So it was brilliant. We were meant to have Colin Hendry. He came last year. He was going to come again this year, but just timings didn't work, unfortunately. Just the way that we'd finished at Smiths and up the hospital, and obviously the hospital kind of had a limit on us this year, with just obviously with infections and stuff. So it wasn't by the time he came through to be there. It was probably going to be there for like 5 minutes. So he was wanting to come, and he was all ready to come for us.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then obviously you had Charletta doing that gig. Was it Peterhead Football Club this year as well? So that was obviously good as well for you guys.
Yeah, so we'll have like our AG, basically we'll have like a big charity match every year. We've had this for the last few years as well, and it's basically we'll have a game at Balmoor, and then afterwards we'll have like a night out, which is just like a guest speaker dinner. So we had Chick Young and Alan Ruff, and we had PG up to play music as well. So we're trying to get a few ex-professionals into the game as well as we can, but we kind of struggled a bit last year. Kev Harper's done it the past 2 years for us. We had Colin last year, but again, dates didn't kind of fall in place. But this year's going to be the 10th anniversary on NETA, so we're hopefully going to go big. But we're just trying to work out a date. Obviously, the World Cup, a lot of boys are away. It's going to be expensive enough as it is, and people getting tied down for dates. It's probably going to be later in the year before we get our dinner sorted.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll speak about the team in a minute, but that'll be the priority. The priority will be getting to America and making sure you're supporting your team, because the financial outlay will be a lot, but it's great that you guys are finding a way to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of the things that guys were on the ball pretty high. As soon as we knew that we were going to qualify, everybody was on the ball basically trying to organise accommodation all around America at the different venues. So when it was ready to go, it was just the flights we had to kind of worry about. So we were kind of slightly ahead of the game in that one, and kind of got our flights at a decent deal. But yeah, it's just the same flights. Another member looked at it, it's like more than trebled. So it's just, yeah, it's going to be expensive, especially for ones that maybe were kind of hesitating to go to start with. Financially it's going to price a lot of people out, which is unfortunate. And even the guys that could afford to go over and can qualify for a ticket, FIFA's pricing is just disgusting this year. So a lot of guys just probably won't even maybe make the effort to go over, which is a shame, especially how long we've waited to get to the World Cup.
Yeah. So when you flying out and when, well, I'm not going to ask when you're planning to return home because hopefully Scotland reach the final this year. But when are
So
you planning on flying out?
I quite tell. Well, I kind of loosely told the wife, but it's I've got my flights booked going out on the 10th. We're flying to Dublin. We're having a night in Dublin, and then we're out on the 11th. But I haven't booked my return flight yet. So we've kind of. I think I'll probably be there at least, hopefully, till the last 16. If we're still in it. If we get to any further than that, I'm gonna be struggling, I think.
Obviously, I know at the Euros in Germany, you went to a couple of games that weren't in Scotland. Would that be the plan to do the same again, if possible?
Do you know what? See, because of the pricing of everything, we haven't even looked at it, which is a shame.
Right,
Because
okay.
you know what, you go like we're lucky enough. We went over to Germany. We managed to catch Austria, France, which was brilliant. But just for the pricing, it's just like he's not want to go and just go away throw away £300 for a game that's it's meaningless to sort of you. But not only that, like it's so like big a country and obviously spread over 3 countries. It's like it's kind of hard. So it's just been a case of we've just concentrated on trying to get ourselves a Scotland tickets and then taking it from there. I mean, if tickets land on our lap and we can get there and it's affordable, then we'll probably would do it. But there's no plans just yet.
Yeah. So you've obviously got the choose for the first and the third game. How challenging or how easy was it to try and sort out? Because I'd imagine it would have been a little bit. You'd have had to provide insurance and all that kind of stuff, I presume.
It's one of these things. It was born out of like you know Gibby Christopher Gibson. He started it when it was in lockdown when we got to the Euros in London. Basically we had a bus going down from Peterhead. I think it was a 50. Was it a 58 seat? I can't remember. I'd be wrong if I said it was between 30 and 50 seats with down for that one. And that was when you had to go with all arranged obviously to go down together. We're going to go to the pubs and stuff, but you had to book in your bubbles. I can't remember if it was
Oh
like
yeah.
bubbles or six or whatever. So try to sort it out for like 50 odd people, which could be a nightmare. So Gibby, for whatever reason, had acquired a boat, and he was happy to take us all on. Obviously, it was a massive kind of boat, so there was plenty of space, and it's just been born from there. And we've done boats now in London, we've done it over in Portugal, we had one in Copenhagen this year. We've done them all over the place. So they've just become something that kind of a lot of the Tartan Army have enjoyed seeing, and we've got the same boys that come on every kind of boat we run. A lot of boys that aren't in NETA. We've got guys like the Robert Wagner's kind of guys, and we've got our Sons of Scotland up in Elgin. They all come on board, and there's loads of other guys as well. I'm probably missing a good few Tartan Armies out that join us, and it's just become one of them things now. So Gibby's the kind of captain of the vessels. He books them all, he gets them all sorted, and he gets planning, as I say, really early to get things in place. So yeah, the Boston one went up and sold out after a couple of days, and the Miami one sold out in less than 24 hours.
That's mental, and that just shows you the popularity behind it.
Mm. We'll hopefully have a few surprises and guests on it that'll come on. We'll probably the usual faces. I'm sure Gully Singh will be on. PG will be getting his. I don't, we've spoken to him yet, but he'll be invited on. I don't know if he'll want to play or not, because I know there's a massive thing over in America just now that guys that are playing music and stuff are getting hammered with some sort of tax or whatever. So I don't know what it's going to be, but we've got a DJ and stuff all booked on it. Yeah, it's one of these things. It's like it's hard to describe. It's like whenever Scotland go away, you get a lot of decent people on the boat. It's a good laugh. Everybody's there just to kind of not take life too serious, and it always ends up like a really good event. So I think hopefully that's grown over the years, and everybody knows it's going to be a good day. So they come on board.
Yeah. We'll speak about the team now. What a year for the team. That Denmark game. Wow. There'll be a better word than wow, but wow.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to go to the Aberdeen Cup final against Celtic, and I thought I was going to take a bit of topping for a game at Hampden for a while, but yeah, I don't think I've ever been at a better game. It had everything. It had everything that even he had even the typical marks. A typical Scotland game. We were up, then we were drawn, then it was a penalty that I don't even think it was a penalty, but obviously it was given. And then we were back in it, and then we went back to 2-2. The late kind of equalising, and I'm thinking, here we go. This is just typical Scotland. And then I'm not even speaking about the wonder goal McTominay scored, and then you show a neutral, like McLean's goal, and then tell them that's not even the best game. That's not even the best goal of the game. Tierney's was brilliant. McTominay's was obviously the wonder goal, and McLean's was brilliant. Shankland's was a tap in, but it was one of them we'd have take every day of the week. So just an unbelievable game.
It's funny because the Scottish national team put a thing up on social media today, and it was McTominay's goal, but it was the commentary in all the different countries.
Mhm.
And they put the Scottish one last through Al Ahmed. And I was actually saying to a few friends, that's not even the best commentary in the lot. The best one for me out of the commentaries was the Brazil one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I know what you want about.
Yeah. I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to or watch it at all, but all the commentators are all around the world, they're all over it. And the one that I was buzzing about was the Brazilian one, just how he described it.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Like, whatever, football's universal, so it's like whatever country you're in, you're not going to see a better goal than that. It was just, yeah, just incredible. But just what it meant in the game, like what was at stake. It wasn't just like your standard league game or even just our standard group game. We had to qualify. We had to win that night to qualify, and you score a goal like that. It was just unbelievable. I actually broke my finger celebrating. We went, like, the guys, everybody came piling down behind me, and I went over the kind of first couple of seats, and I've just ended up breaking my finger over it, and didn't even feel it till like the next day. I felt a little twinge, but it wasn't until the next day. It was just pure adrenaline the whole night. It was amazing.
That's the general, as you say, Kev, but it's also a drink as well.
Wee bit, aye, yeah, wee bit. I blame the guys around about, but they must have had a few to drink and knocked me.
Aye, aye. But the campaign as a whole, I mean, it was similar to other campaigns we've had under Quack, as far as I'm concerned, Kev, where we've had period a couple of games where you're like, this sure. Then we get a big win, such as Norway for the Euros a couple of years ago. The big moment for the Euros, pardon me, the World Cup this time around might have been maybe Cyprus, perhaps, Belarus to a certain extent. But it had that carbon copy of the Euros to a certain extent.
Yeah, it was, as you said, the big game in Oslo for the Euros was massive, and even I think we kind of all said at the time, like going over to Denmark and getting a 0-0 was pretty big as well.
Oh, aye.
I think we started off with a loss there, especially with Greece, and because I mean, like Greece, Denmark, and Scotland, like any one of them, and I'm even knocking like Belarus, they were very tricky for us to play against, and obviously Denmark saw that as well. But yeah, any one of those teams could have won that group. And the draw over there in Copenhagen was brilliant. Obviously, the Greece game was a bit of a disaster over there, but especially when we had it all to play for. But the Greece game at home, that was a game. Like, I still think, how the hell did we come away there with 3 points? Because for a long time we were one of the good team there. So yeah, that was the one that's probably like we've got away with one there, and we're still on the hunt. And then obviously Belarus doing us that turn. Against when we played Greece it was just everything started falling into place that doesn't normally fall into place for Scotland. Like normally we always get these bits of luck that go against us. Like you think back years ago when we had the draw over and was it Georgia? We just needed kind
Yeah.
of and then we had that and it was like a 0-0 and it's like all these little things that normally go against us just seem to be working for us. And I think the fans started believing it as well. Like even going into that, once we knew that Belarus had done us that turn and we had that one game against Copenhagen, it was like we're going to do it. Like we're going to do it. And then obviously you start off with that McTominay goal and it's like here we go, book your tickets now.
Is McTominay's goal, is that the highlight of the campaign? It is for me.
I think it has to be, but I mean, like, it has to be the highlight. But you look at Tierney's goal, like it was an absolute
Oh,
peach, and it was the one that put us like basically like that's the one that's probably going to take us through. And obviously, we didn't expect to see a couple of seconds later that McLean was going to launch one in for the halfway line. But it's hard to pick one. But I think you've got to go with that McTominay goal. It was just that was special in every way. Like, but yeah, it was amazing.
obviously, there was a few videos of using the way down to the game. I used my celebrating nice and early in the morning.
I always got to do with like I say, like every game for them is like for Hamden's an away game for us really by the time we get down there and back and stuff. But yeah, I think it was weird that everybody was sort of saying it. Everybody was feeling the Copenhagen game. The Copenhagen game, the Denmark game. Everybody was kind of feeling like we're going to do something. And I'm just glad the guys did because we've got this squad of boys, and yeah, we've got a few boys at our age, and you're probably going to be looking at McTominay, McGinn, Robertson especially. Are they going to get another World Cup? I don't know, but yeah, just I'm glad because the guys, that squad of players have given us the 2 Euros now, and now they deserve the World Cup. And you know what, like win, lose or draw, like Scotland are going to go over there, have a great time. And Germany, other than like family sort of things, it's best experience of my life. Going away with the boys and having that like 2 weeks in Germany was just from start to finish was just magic. Football was terrible, but yeah, everybody would relive it again in a second. So the fact we're getting to do it in America. Yeah, it's just going to be great.
Obviously, you touched on the fact that you've going to Hampden feels like an away game. Just give everybody a bit of an idea as to what goes into a match day for you guys, because I know from being part of the, well, I'm not a member, but I know having been on the bus that you leave at 12 o'clock from Peterhead, you're in Glasgow at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you leave at 10, 10:15, 10:30, depending on how the game goes, and
Yeah.
then you're there him and back in Peterhead till 3 in the morning.
Well, that's the thing. Guys have got to take. I think a lot of people, like obviously Central Beltways, didn't realise you have to take a kind of either boys are maybe you get half day or a full day off on the day of the game, and a lot of boys get sore heads the day after the game, or they getting in until late at night just by travel as well. So you're almost taking like normally I'll be myself. I normally take 2 days off, game day and the day after. So you're doing that every game. It mount up. Plus you try to get to your away games when you can and get your points up for things like the World Cup and stuff. So yeah, it's an early start. We're going to normally go for the. We've got to make sure you're well fed. So we get to the football club probably between 10:30 and 11 and get our bacon roll, and then it's on a bus to pick up guys at Ellen, and then Aberdeen at Foundry, and then straight down the road. And then, as you say, by the time you get down there, it's not till late on. You got a couple of hours in the bar, and then you're into watch football, and then back up the road
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely. Oh, it's worth it for the results such as Denmark and
Oh,
other
100%.
games, and other notable moments we've seen at Hampden.
Yeah, 100%. And you see guys that have, well, myself is like I'm saying younger guys, but I'm 40 now, and like the last World Cup I saw, I was my son's age at secondary school, so this is the only chance I've really had to get to a World Cup. And you see some guys that are maybe slightly older than me that are kind of in a similar position, and it's like, yeah, just to be able to see other guys that go to these games home and away all over the world to finally get a chance to see what Scotland in the World Cup again. It was worth the pain.
Oh, absolutely. So, obviously, next year, there's obviously families and various things like that, but have you booked your annual leave for next year already?
It's a sore point just now. I'm still trying to get it approved, but it's in. It's in, and I've got my tickets booked. Sorry, my flights booked, so I'm hoping it's all going to get approved. So, fingers crossed.
Aye.
It'll be getting the nod.
One thing you'll maybe hoping for is by the time we get to February, you've got your tickets rejected or anything along those lines. I'm not trying to create any
No, no.
analogies here, but
No, I know. So hopefully, just on the points basis, I should qualify with the SFA allocation. So fingers crossed that all kind of goes well. So I think they basically said, then said an exact number, but I think normally like 26 and above, you're sort of guaranteed a ticket. You're probably even going to be guaranteed a ticket slightly lower than that, but I can't exactly remember what the kind of points bracket was. But yeah, it's unfortunate for the ones that are sitting at maybe the 13, 14 mark that go to most of the home games.
ah,
They can't really quite get on the level, and they're going to have to rely on the ballots, which is a shame. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, like as I say, we can get our tickets approved and our application approved, and we'll be there.
how much folk for the North East Tartan Army is planning on going all across to the States and
I
halfway
think
around the world?
I think there's at least that I know of, there's probably a good 20, 25
Oh, that's
of
good.
guys going over. So there are a few different little groups of them. But yeah, I think altogether, probably members wise, you're probably speaking at least 25, I would say. Which is an incredible number when you think you're going to the other side of the world, and it's not cheap, and it's probably going to be everybody's main holiday for the year that have got families and stuff as well. So yeah, it just kind of shows the dedication that a lot of the guys have got to support Scotland.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Back on the team, McTominay's moment alongside Tierney's moment is probably hands down one of the moments of the year, Kev. But ultimately, there's been a few other big moments as well. The Belarus win, the Denmark 0-0, as you've alluded to. Anything else that springs off the top of your mind?
Like I say, the Greece game, when we were down, and I was there, and Greece were all over us, and I hate saying it, but they were like 10 times better than we were that day. And for whatever reason, how we've managed to scrape a win, I've no idea, but we'll take that every day of the week. But that was a big moment for us. But I think seeing things like Gannon Doak coming in and actually making, I know he's got that injury just in the last game, but seeing him coming in and actually become a part of the squad, he totally changes us. He totally changes the way we play, which is good because of the last few years, we're struggling to have. We've got our McTominays and our Gilmore's coming through, but brilliant. Well, I say coming through, he's established now. But yeah, it's good to see we've still got a special talent like that, Gannon Doak coming through. So I think that's probably a big thing for this campaign is that he's kind of nailed. When he's fit, he's starting, which is good.
The thing about Steve Clark, Kev, is I always had a feeling. You know what? I always had a feeling, and it was the Euros the knives were out for him. They were, because especially after how the Euros post-COVID had kind of went.
Yeah.
But then I always looked at Scotland in their qualification campaigns and how they had a slow starter, didn't get off to the best possible start. They just kicked on. They just found something that gained a bit of momentum, and this was exactly that.
Yeah, that's what you get with Clark. He's solid, and I've never been on the get Clark, even after Euros. I've never been on the get Clark out. I would take him again for another campaign if he wants to sign on after the World Cup. I think he's taken Scotland to. I mean, Strachan and guys before him. It's like we were always having the players dropping out, like especially old firm players dropping out before games, and it just didn't seem to be that like togetherness. Whereas as soon as Clark's been in there, it's been a case of you're in squad, you muck about like guys like Ryan Fraser, dropping out of squads before and then going away training with his club and stuff. He's never been back in a squad since. So I'm all for that. I think the way he's set his on it, that also goes against Clark sometimes, because sometimes you think we need to freshen the squad up a wee bit, but he's been totally loyal to the guys that he's had in there from the start. So it swings and roundabouts, and I think the way Clark's doing it is the right way to do it. As much as some football fans might be saying, "Come on, get some new boy, get some fresh blood in," I think he does it the right way. As much as it can frustrate boys, I think it is the right kind of way.
He's got a club football vibe about him. I mean, there is the analogy, as you alluded to, the element of, right, okay, oh God, can we really change? Can we change it? Can we go and dig in 6 or 7 players and really freshen it up? Ultimately, as well, there's the loyalist side of it, but also there is the, right, I don't want any bad eggs. I don't want any, idiots, basically.
Yeah. No, I think he kind of, and I'm going to class him as one of them, but obviously since obviously Germany, when Porteous kind of let us down in that game, I don't know what his attitude was afterwards, but you've never seen him in the squad again, so I don't know what the deal is there, if he's still coming in or if he's still in the frame. But he doesn't mess about. Obviously, we were trying to get Elliot Anderson in the team, and he came to that one training camp, and then whatever happened, and Clark's basically shut the door on him now, which rightly so. If you don't want to be there, listen to bother and waste our time. I know there's all the noise about Harvey Barnes and getting those lads in, and I'm for it. If they want to be part of it, then do it. But I don't think Clark's going to do it at the expense of his players that he's taken this far. Oh, lost your volume.
No, there was a bit of noise about Jack McKenzie in mind when he got called up to the Scotland squad. Then I know he's had an injury at Plymouth, but he went to Plymouth and signs of a Scotland call up. Nobody's even mentioned it since he's moved south of the border.
Yeah, I think a lot of boys sometimes do get lost a wee bit in the shuffle when they go down the road. I'm an Aberdeen fan, like I said, and like Jack Milne is looking as a player there. It's too soon, I would say, for him just now. I definitely think it's too soon still, but there is a player there, and I think games that you're playing in friendlies, maybe not a friendly before a big tournament, but friendlies before like the next kind of the UEFA Nations or whatever like that. I think maybe you could be looking at lads like that, but we've got boys across the board. I mean, Lennon Miller, okay, he's in every squad. I mean, he should be starting. Well, he should be starting. Where's he starting? Because we've got such a strong. He's in that unfortunate position that we're really strong with Ferguson, Gilmore, McTominay, McGinn, and all these guys. It's like centre halves were really screaming out for. Goalkeepers were really screaming out for. Even a striker, like a young new striker, would be ideal. I mean, the lad's just went totally out of my head. Bowie for Hibs. He looks a really good player. I'd like to likes the games at Liechtenstein and stuff. I kind of that's one bit of Clark I'd want and just experiment a little bit more in those type of games. But yeah, I can't knock him on. He's got us a World Cup and 2 Euros. So who am I to question him?
I mean, that's the thing. There's been a lot of questions about his style of football, but I'll take 3 championship appearances or the style of football every day of the week.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And you know what? Like, it hasn't been bad. Like, we've seen a lot worse. Like, Clark, he sometimes, like I say, he can be frustrating to watch as a fan, but he's got his style, he's got his idea, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, everybody at the Euros was screaming for him to change things up a bit, especially in the last game against Hungary. It was like, just go for it. And I think he has learned, because you sort of saw that, and it was obviously too late in the Greece game, where we just went for it, and it was like probably the most enjoyable bit of Scotland I've seen us play. The most enjoyable way I've seen us play for a while. But we kind of sustained that pace at that level for a whole game. But yeah, who knows? As I say, Gannon Dokes offered us little different avenue to forget, like Harvey Barnes in another wing as well. It'll totally change the style of play. And you've kind of got as well with Clark. You kind of can only do with what you've got, the players you've got with you. We haven't got that array of like creative players that a lot of other countries do have. So we've kind of just got to go with what we've got and try and fit it the best way. And I think Clark does that. I think he actually has us playing and makes it difficult to beat. And I don't think going over there in that World Cup draw many teams would have wanted Scotland in the group.
Talk to me, sorry, about the North East Tartan Army and how it started up. You're coming up to the 10th year anniversary, are you?
Yeah, aye. So basically, how it started, a few of us started getting on it was an Ellen Reds bus that was run, and we got left behind. It was a Germany game. We got left behind. The bus left early, and Marcel and Gordon Park had decided that, you know what, there's enough boys here that we've started meeting through going to games that stay up in kind of Peterhead area, that we should maybe float the idea of starting a bus. So we did. And the first game was against Lithuania, and yeah, that was in 2016. And then every year we've just had another bus, and then as the bus has grown, the same group of guys have been coming and become friends, and yeah, it's grown and grown and grown, and we're always getting new members coming on, and then they become a part of the furniture as well, and they're coming to every game, so the group grows and grows, and yeah, it's a good thing, and it's just now we're always going to have that bus now that's always going to go to games. Sometimes I say, well, a lot of times we've got two buses going, so yeah, it was just one of those things that just evolved every year and got stronger and bigger, and different guys come in, like you've got I say Gibby came on board and he's got all his ideas with his boats and stuff. We've had loads of guys coming involved, like they've just introduced their own things that's ideas that have taken off, and it's made NETA probably one of the bigger. I mean, we're part of the ATAC as well, which is the Association of Tartan Army Groups, and NETA's probably out with the Edinburgh and Glasgow group is probably the biggest group in Scotland. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
grown and grown and grown.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of pressure on you before a match day.
There is. It's just making sure that you always want the bus to come up, and you always want to make sure the toilet works, because that's a big thing. If the toilet doesn't work, that's a disaster. Yeah, so it's as I say, 10 years now. It's like we go through Millbank, and they've always been pretty good with us. So yeah, just make sure the bus turns up. Would I forget anybody, and we try and get back up road. Obviously, over the years, there's people that missed buses and whatever, but 9 times out of 10, it's usually pretty good.
What's your general expectation of the World Cup next year, Kev? For me, I know if Scotland pick up 4 points, that could be enough, but I'd rather take 6, and then whatever happens in the Brazil game happens.
Yeah, I think the good thing is Brazil and Morocco are obviously going to play each other first, so I'd like to think Brazil will obviously do the job there. We should take points off of Haiti, but we've been here before in World Cups like Costa Rica and stuff. So a win against them puts us in a good position, especially with Clark plays, even if it's a case of a draw against Morocco. I mean, Brazil's Brazil, although they're not the Brazil that we've probably grown up watching, and the superstars they've still got loads of quality, and they probably will be expected to beat us. But you'd like to think maybe by the third game they might already qualified. Because if they beat Morocco, then beat Haiti, they'll be thinking of we're on to the next round. So they might rest players against us. There's loads of different things, different ways it could go. But as you say, 4 points, even 3 points can take us through, because I think is it the 8 or 6 best third place
I think
teams?
it's 8, yeah.
So I mean, a win. I mean, some of the groups you look at. I mean, I think for the other groups, they'll be struggling just to get a couple of wins in those groups. So the points may be quite low to get that eighth position. So the 8 spots. So a really good, convincing win against Haiti, and yeah, anything against Morocco and Brazil, and I think we're in the next round.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it will depend on that Haiti game. But you understand us being a Scotland fan, Kev. I hope we just don't set off. I hope we go for it, but be pragmatic by going for it.
I think we've got to, and I think especially if we're looking at it, because Morocco's class, we saw at the last World Cup, they were like in the top. I think they finished third. Was it third or fourth in the last World Cup? And that team is still pretty much that team they've got there. They've added a few younger lads in as well, and they're going to be difficult. They're a team that again nobody wanted in their group, and obviously Brazil are Brazil, and they're going to be one of the favourites. But yeah, as you say, go for the Haiti game, get as many goals as we can on the board if we can, and see what we can get out of Brazil and Morocco. And you'd like to think possibly, a wee draw against Morocco, or even this is the thing with this Scotland team. This Scotland team, and and they just going to come by in Scotland, can't beat anybody on their day. Some days they just don't turn up and you think it's a completely different team, like the game against Greece. Then you look at it and you think, how has this went wrong so badly? And then you look at the games where we absolutely turn up. Denmark a couple of seasons ago, I pumped them 2-0 at Hampden. On our day, we can give anybody a game and beat them. So yeah, if you'd like to think, especially a one-off game, if we get the Haiti go and it's just Morocco and Brazil, get a wee point or a win and go for it. I think Clark has probably learnt his lessons from other tournaments now. I think it's just the best chance we've got to getting out of the group stage we've had in a while.
But you correctly said about Brazil there, Kev. I mean, they're not the side they were in the 1990s, 1980s, 1970s. I would say that's winnable. I know
Yeah,
it might sound a bit out of proportion, but I think it is winnable.
yeah. I think as I say, like the fact that it's the third game as well. If they've qualified already, then they might rest boys because it's a longer tournament than normal. Guys are coming off a big heavy season. Okay, you've got I think two extra player spots. I think the squads are 30 or 28. I can't remember. Yeah, you've got to look at it as well, and we'll take any advantage we can get. Like I say, we had to take the advantage with Belarus doing us a favour in Denmark. If it means that Brazil rest a few boys to play us in the third game, I'll take that every day of the week. If it means we can get through. So, and again, you start going into knockout games, and they getting ahead of myself. But if we get to the last 32, last 16, one-off games, Scotland can play anybody. So as soon as we get into that uncharted territory we've never been before, who knows? You look at Wales a few years ago in the Euros. Our squad's better than that Wales side, I would say. And they did amazing the Euros just by getting it there, the fans behind them and stuff. So yeah, I'm as always optimistic about Scotland, but like I say, we've been here so many times before, but I'm just going to enjoy the fact that we're over there.
It's funny because I remember McTominay's disallowed goal against Spain a few years ago. Was it for the Euros? I think it was. And then Spain just went on to win the game after. But then it was a hindsight moment, McTominay's disallowed goal.
Yeah, that's it. But you look, as we're saying about one-off games, but about us playing it, people playing teams and getting better. Like Spain, were they the world champions? I think I'm trying to think where we were now at the time, but they've just come off the back of Euro wins, World Cup wins, and we managed to beat them at Hampden. Took them over there and got robbed really. So you look at the Portugal game as well recently. We took them to the wire. So it's like Scotland can do it. They can play these games. They can, when they want to play and they're on form, they can play any of these teams, and none of them should really scare us. Like I say, we've got nothing to lose going over there. The Haiti game's the one that the pressure's on for us. We have to win that game, and we have to win it convincingly. And then after that, anything against Morocco and Brazil are bonuses. So yeah, it's doable, totally doable.
Have you done your homework in the likes of America and Boston and Miami specifically? Have you done your homework in those kind of cities, like what you're going to do,
Yeah.
what you're going to be as a tourist, basically?
So yeah, we're planning on, because Boston's so close to New York, we're planning on a day or two down in New York. That's been planned. We haven't actually got stuff nailed on for Boston itself. I'd imagine there'll be a few pubs getting visited, and then we'll probably take it from there. Miami, I think the plan maybe is going to be heading down a little bit earlier and going to Orlando for a day or two.
Okay.
And then we've got a villa booked in Miami. So we'll go down there, and then again, a few bars will be getting visited, and then the boat party will probably be one of the big ones as well. The Miami boat party looks like the yacht and everything that's for it. It looks immense. So yeah, I think that's going to be a highlight.
I'll be interested to see how you get on with the time, because obviously the Haiti game I know is at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Or
Well,
our time, 2 o'clock in the morning.
that's the thing for boys. I don't know. Are you going over yourself? Or are you planning on going
Yeah,
over?
no plan at the moment, no.
So how are you going to like watch? That's what I'm thinking. The boys that are at home, it's a nightmare for them to try and
Oh,
like
well, I'll have my coffee. I'll just have coffee.
get coffee and just stay up and watch it.
Uh,
That's it. Well, I feel
Not
for the
on a
guys that
beer, of course, but I'll have coffee just to make sure.
just to make sure you can see. That's the thing. It's like the guys that are at home that it's really like the timings are terrible for. I know bars and stuff are staying open, but I can't even remember. There's some obviously midweek games and stuff, and it's just going to be a nightmare for people to try and. I remember '94. It was the first World Cup I remember watching, but I remember seeing loads of it on the TV. So there is obviously going to be decent timings that you can watch games. It's just unfortunately Scotland games look like they fall at 2 o'clock in the mornings and the midnights and stuff. So, yeah.
But I mean, it'll be the big for yourself as a fan. I mean, how's the transport options looking? Have you looked into that at all? Or?
Yes, we've looked in it. So, as I say, we're flying into New York, and then I think there's going to be a train up to Boston. I think it like works out 2 and a bit hours, And then obviously from Boston coming out, I think we've got a few options if it's going to be Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. There's a few flights that go there. But also if you can get to Orlando, there's obviously the new Bright Line train line that's from Orlando to Miami, which is about 3 hours, I think. It's nowhere near, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as what Germany had in place. But again, everything was closer in Germany. It was maybe only a couple of hours here and there to different places. But it was just like how a tournament should be run. Like they had everything in place, like the free travel for supporters, fan zones were like really decently well placed next to stadiums and stuff. Like you generally, if anybody's going to organise a tournament, it's Germany. So I don't know how the States is going to do it. Obviously they've got a bigger bit to play with, but yeah, we'll see. There's options there for transport, and there's loads of like undergrounds and stuff. We've just probably got to do a bit more homework in that, but I think it should be fine. And I think we've actually lucked out because there's a hell of a lot worse groups we could have got that were going to be worse travel for us. So I think the fact that we were up in that like East Coast kind of side of things is good. And before the draw, I'd said it to a few of my mates. I says I want Group C. I want the one with New York and not so much Boston, but I wanted the New York. And I always have said Miami and Brazil. That'd be amazing. Sorry, Brazil and Miami. And yeah, we got up. That's a tie for me. Like down in Miami, playing Brazil. That's a dream come true. Like.
Obviously, when you go over there, it'll be big. But back home, I know it was a big thing made, especially in Aberdeen. Obviously, you're from Peterhead, I know, but there was a big thing in Aberdeen made about the fan zones and how there was very little fan zones in Aberdeen. I think there was in Glasgow, Edinburgh. I want to say Dunfermline,
Yeah.
Perth,
Mm-hmm.
Dundee, but
absolutely wild.
I know having been from Aberdeen and not making every game in the Euros in Germany a few years ago, I was a bit scunnered about where you could actually go watch the game and have a few beers or whatever have you, because there wasn't really a fan zone. There was plenty of pubs, but there wasn't really a big congregate space.
Yeah, I remember speaking on the radio about it because we got asked about it, and it's a disgrace to be honest with you. Aberdeen's got plenty of spaces that could have been done, and given the amount of fans that support Scotland that come from the North East, I think it was something crazy in the SSC a few years ago that there was like more people in this kind of part of the country than there was in like Glasgow itself that were like Scotland supporter club members. I don't know if that's changed now, but that was certainly a few years ago. And the fact that we didn't have a fan zone is just wild. Like the Euros was massive, but the World Cup's going to be huge. And obviously the bad thing is obviously the timings. You're probably not going to get a fan zone at 2 a.m. in the morning. It is probably going to be pubs. I know the pubs are getting licenses extended, but totally missed a trick there for the last ones. But I don't know how it's going to work out. And I think it's just to say where the World Cup's getting played and the timings is just going to be a bit unfortunate for kind of get that stuff. But I still think the country is going to be absolutely buzzing.
I mean, there's a big Scottish election coming up next year. That could be a big one for the manifesto.
That's it, yeah. They might get one of them. Make sure they get some fan zones or some days off in the calendar for the Scotland games the day after.
Absolutely. What do you think the governments could do, or what do you think the councils could do to try and get more fan zones in next year?
Like I say, I think it's going to be difficult because of the timings. But I mean, if in an ideal world and the timings were decent, then you've got places like Duthie Park, you've got Hazelhead, you've got all these places that can be done. Like they've done festivals at them before. The infrastructure is there, and for a council point of view, like they could make money off it. Like as in if they're selling tickets, it's going to pay for itself. I don't understand. I don't understand why it's even a conversation. It should just be getting done. But we want to be like you look at things like Olympics and Commonwealth Games and stuff. You're always wanting to inspire the next generation. So like my kids and stuff, if they were able to go to a fan zone to watch it, they couldn't come to the game or couldn't get a ticket because, like, let's face it, tickets for a tournament like a Euros or a World Cup are like hen's teeth, and you have to have your points and stuff. So just like getting kids and stuff to be able to experience the atmosphere and of a World Cup and stuff instead of just having to watch it at home or like it's just it baffles me the fact that we even have to have this conversation because it should be a no-brainer. It should be getting done. And I mean, I can't remember which game it is. One is a Friday night, I think, isn't it? Or Saturday. I'm losing track of what dates. I'm just remember writing the dates down and stuff. But for the one that is at the weekend, then why is there not something put in place? I know a late night venue sort of will come with the same problems that people have been drinking all day and stuff like that. But we're missing a trick somewhere here. Like,
well, the Haiti game's a Saturday. That's a Saturday night.
Yeah, that's the one. I knew it was one. I couldn't remember which one we were at. Because I'm just seeing the dates. I'm not actually seeing the days next to it. But the Haiti game is just like Saturday night, why is something not getting put in place? As I say, the best case it seems to be that I'm seeing is that pubs are going to extend hours, so people can watch games and be there. But again, there's zero coming from the council, but that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I can imagine the pubs prior to the game, they'll be getting reserved.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, but again, until the council or somebody comes out and do something, then I mean, you could absolutely have a fan zone in your Duthie Parks and Hazelheads without a doubt. But yeah,
Because the same can be made with Glasgow and Edinburgh as well. I mean, Glasgow Green, for example, Edinburgh, I'm trying to figure out Edinburgh from the top of my head here, but Edinburgh experts could come out and comment in their city, but there's Glasgow Green, there's other places around Scotland you can hold fan zones in.
100%. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And again, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I just don't understand. Especially, I get it's going to be difficult with this World Cup, but for the Euros last Euros going past, it was a disgrace that was not being put in place, especially up in Aberdeen. I mean, you could even have somewhere. You could even have somewhere in Peterhead, somewhere like smaller ones that you could still be a success. And I just don't understand. We had nothing, which is like I say, it's just a disgrace.
Would you welcome a chat with like the council? The opportunity came about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would obviously be difficult for myself because I wouldn't be here, but I think there's plenty of boys who aren't like yourself that are big Scotland fans that aren't going to be making it over. There's plenty of people who are going to be over that can't afford to go over that are huge Scotland fans that've got families and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Again, I think the council will shut it down straight away because of the timings. But it should be getting done. I don't know how. Even if it's a case, I don't know. I don't know if anybody want a replay, but if it's a case of Scotland had a big win in the first game and you're replaying it the next day, like in an afternoon or something, so the kids can watch it the next day or something. All these things can be looked at, and like I said, I don't know whether there's an appetite there for it, but to have all these people in one space to watch the game, you even look at like Pittodrie, like is there an issue? Is there a opportunity there to put a big screen on at Pittodrie and watch a game?
Well, there's not a big screen already with Aberdeen games.
Yeah. So I mean, get fans in there, and so it's almost like you're in a stadium. It comes like that. Obviously, Pittodrie's got the drinking license now for obviously the Dick Donald is like don't know if that gave me something to put in, but yeah, it baffles me that we're here sitting here, we've rattled off so many ideas and the council have come out with nothing. It's just it doesn't surprise me, but that's where. But I think people should be looking. We've got plenty of people. We've got Brewdog sitting on our doorstep that could be probably doing something. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure they will show games and stuff in their bars, but they've had their AGMs at Hazelhead and stuff. They know how to throw events, and why we're not doing it, I don't know.
Yeah. Finally, what's success for Scotland this year? Is it qualifying for the last 32 and seeing how we get on from there, or are you looking for something a little bit better?
I think for me, the biggest success was getting to that World Cup. We needed to get to that World Cup. It was getting to the point that it was becoming painful. You know, we came so close, even in tight groups with McLeish and Smith, with Italy and France and stuff. It was just becoming that like we're never going to get to the World Cup here in my lifetime, but we've done it. So for me, I'm just delighted we're there. I'm delighted it's America because I think although it's they got the infrastructure as Germany, I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be one of the best experiences of my life. So I think for me, I'm happy we're there. But as we discussed earlier, I think there's no issues. There's no reason why we can't go there and give a good account of ourselves. As soon as if we can get out of that group and start going to the knockout games, like I say, nobody's going to want to play Scotland. So I think we could be sitting here this time next year and we've maybe got ourselves a last 16 spot or a last 32 spot.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Kevin. All the best when you go over to America.
No,
Hopefully,
thank
you
you very
manage to
much.
save up a wee bit of money before then, and then
I
obviously
know.
you can go and spend all your fortunes in with dollars
Yeah,
in the United
that's it.
States.
I know, that's it. Hopefully we'll be getting some money getting saved and we'll go over and have a good time. We've got the boat parties that are going to be on for Boston and Miami. They're both open bars. So although the tickets are the dealer's tickets we've had to put for a boat out for, but hopefully the guys will make their money back on the free bar. I don't know if the guys that have running the boats have realised what they've done, but we'll see.
Perfect. Thank you, Kev.
No, cheers, mate. Thanks for having us on.
Hello, this is Derek Ray, and you're listening to the Scottish Football Forums podcast.
We are here with Oliver Kennedy, a Scotland fan, a Johnstone fan. Oliver, I appreciate it's short notice, so thank you very much for coming on. You're obviously a journalist for the Gaudie newspaper as well, cover High League football, so I could probably say that a Scottish football extraordinaire.
Maybe for for some places. But yeah, no, I enjoy football at all levels. As you say with St Johnstone,
Yeah.
used to win the Premiership and more recently the Championship.
Yeah. No, St Johnstone had a great start to the season. A very good 5-0 win. We're starting them. Yeah. They really wiped the floor with Morton, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah, I think Morton have been blown away. Kind of the both meetings. The last one was 4-0 down at Greenock. There's just been something that we've had that they've not been able to deal with. I think we've had a tricky couple of games before that. Obviously, we had the great comeback against Ayr, but we dropped points before, so I think it was important to kind of get back to that emphatic winning ways that we'd started the season with.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you had a great return to Dermot Park a few weeks ago. You were there on behalf of the newspaper covering the Cove Rangers game, and you got to turn up that for sure. You'll be banned from Dermot Park, I presume.
I know that's the last time I take on a game at McDermott. Yeah, I think that was easily the worst that Saints have played this season. Everybody said that was covering the game and watching the game, and results like that can, kind of derail a season or derail a positive run. So for Saints to kind of get back to winning ways, I think was really important. And this is both from a St Johnstone fan perspective, it's maybe not the end of the world that we're out the cup. We get a week off now. Maybe if some of our rivals have longer runs, that's more of a strain on their season. So it's not all bad being out of the cup, I don't think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, the season you've had, as you've alluded to, Oliver, has been tangible to a certain extent. No silverware, of course, in December, as of speaking. However, yeah, what a season you've had so far, and it will continue. There was a point made by Eric Nicholson in the Courier today, for example, about how St Johnstone basically wiped the floor with Morton, as I've alluded to. However, the games Morton have had, I don't think they've had more than a 1 or a 2 goal defeat against sides similar or in a title race with St Johnstone.
That's right. Yeah, I read that from Eric earlier actually, and I think that just shows that when we're at our sort of best, or maybe even close to best, we're kind of on another level. Partick probably haven't had as many emphatic wins. Yeah, like you say, only 1 goal in it. So they're a tricky team, and I know they've picked up, I think, more draws than anybody. So they know how to kind of grind out results. But when Saints start with that kind of intensity, they get, I think it was 3 before the break. They just can't compete. That's satisfying, and that's exactly what Saints. You look at Ross County and the kind of terrible season that they've had. It's a real risk for clubs that get relegated. It happens in England a lot. You see clubs maybe drop twice, or I believe Luton did that. Clubs can just really stink. So for Saints to, recover, make good signings, make use of French players as well. I think Josh McTake is a phenomenal example of reintroducing someone in a team, putting faith in them, and now he could potentially be playing Champions League football with Hearts next season. And 2 years ago, he was looking at losing the prospect of full-time football. He was at Stirling Albion. I'm not sure if it was on loan or permanent, but really sort of languishing in the lower leagues, and now look what's happened in such a short amount of time. So there's lots to be excited when you're a Saints fan.
Totally.
I haven't said to the please.
Oh, no, sorry, I thought you were going to continue there, so my apologies. But no, based on the season, based on the season you've had, what do you think? A lot of it's came down to individual performances, but I think the man at the helm deserves a lot of recognition here in Simo Valakari.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think beyond purely football matters on the pitch, I think he's done a lot to bring the fans on side. He's been really open and honest. There's a lot of dialogue. You've probably seen videos of him after the game. whether it's a win or loss, he's over at the fans, he's applauding their effort for travelling. And then on field, individually, you've got to look at the likes of Josh McPake and Jamie Gullen. I think they have the confidence to almost be selfish sometimes, take the ball, take it forward, take the shot, because, and as you can see in their kind of goals and assist count, they are converting, they are taking that ball forward and scoring. We've seen a lot of goals this season where individuals have, picked up the ball and just kind of gone for it, which is so refreshing as a Saints fan, because last season there was no confidence to take the ball and shoot. And there were so many instances where the shot was maybe there, but instead just played it wide, kind of taking it back again. And that's the most frustrating thing, I think, for a fan, watching and wanting to see your team do well, that they seem to be missing out on the obvious things. So instead, we've had Saints this season have the confidence to go forward. The defence has been largely strong enough to kind of give trust to the forward players and the midfielders going forward. So, yeah, I think McPake is going to be the standout. He's had the player of the month a couple of times. High chance of him having player of the season if he doesn't go to Hearts in January. But it's absolutely the kind of team as well that given us so much success.
I mean, are you surprised about how Josh McPake has propelled his game in a short space of time? Because when you look at it in the Premiership, he was decent enough, but it's really at the start of this Championship season that he probably needed that reset to go again, basically. In the Premiership, he was solid enough, but in the Championship, he's just took his game to another level.
Yeah, and I think, again, that must be testament to the manager. I think there was glimpses of him. He seemed to only come on in that were foregone conclusions. I remember, I think we went 3-0 down to Dundee at New Year, and he came on, and if memory serves me correctly, he got a goal, and he just gave a bit of positivity, and Saints fans were crying out for that. But we didn't really see much of him. So to have him come in, I think he was quite lively in pre-season, and then to start the season with that really emphatic win against Partick Thistle 5-1 on the opening day, the fans just instantly kind of, so excited to see what he could do. And the goal contributions is something that Saints haven't really seen, for almost before COVID now. I mean, the COVID season, you had a lot when we won the double cup. There was a lot of goal contributions from kind of all around the team. But I think the last time we had a player that was scoring and assisting so much might have been maybe like Matty Kennedy, that like 2018, 2019 time. He had a great season. Danny Swanson, David Witherspoon. It's getting back to those kind of golden era players that Saints fans are so fond of. He's probably the closest we've got to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The second half of the season will be big for St Johnstone. It'll be a case of the same old again, I know, but at the same time, St Johnstone fans are very understanding to not get very high, not get very low at the same time, because if not, you're going to get caught between two of those emotions. I know that because obviously St Johnstone are a great club, but obviously if you get very high, you're going to get found out very quickly. If you go very low, it might not end well either.
Yeah, and I suppose in the Championship, as we've seen in basically every year for the past 2 years, when the Championship, kind of picked up the traction, a lot of people started watching it as neutral fans. And I was the same. And I've watched clubs run out of steam or, never really recover from a sort of bad run or just had another team kind of catch them. And I think there's individual fixtures you'll look at that you'll think, for example, we play Partick Thistle on the 30th of January, Friday night. That's going to be a big occasion. It's going to be a big game. Saints can, perhaps that game to build a 8 to 10 point gap, which is phenomenal at that time of the season. But on the flip side, we could be in a situation where Partick could overtake us with a win in that game. So I think it's about taking each game as it comes. We've got a tricky away game up at Ross County on Saturday. We've then got Arbroath at home, who are having a great season. Fortunately, it looks like their best, maybe the one their best. Taylor Stephen is from St Johnstone, so he won't be able to play against us. But in the championship, you've no sooner got a difficult couple of teams out the way and you're back playing them again. There's only really 2 or 3 teams that you'd look at and think that a win is kind of easier or possible. But there's a lot of fixtures that you look at and you think they're going to be tough. So for me, that particle game at the end of January is going to be a big one.
Yeah, totally. Right, Danny Williams on the SFF podcast. I've been delighted with you, Oliver, because he's a massive St Johnstone fan along with your fine self. So I shout out to all you St Johnstone fans out there. You'll all be buzzing with this one pre-Christmas. But what a year for Scotland, Oliver.
Are we going back to the Denmark game?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, Dave, I'm not getting a response from you there.
Oh, yeah, I meant the Denmark game. Sorry, please, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, maybe just the Wi-Fi. But yeah, so I tried to sum that up. I think we're all still watching the goals. I'm still watching McTominay's goal, Kenny McLean's goal, Tierney's goal, and I think it's been really interesting kind of looking on social media and people's approach to the World Cup. And I unfortunately I think the penny's dropping for a lot of people that the World Cup is, financially or politically probably out of reach for a lot of people, which is really disappointing. But I think Scotland, sorry, this is for my generation, even people a bit older than me, this is the first time to see something that is really special. I think the World Cup and the Euros, it kind of brings out something special. And the international tournaments, there always seems to be an incredible story. And we saw that, the last World Cup, Morocco having that great run. I remember watching Croatia in 2018 in Russia, thinking they had a phenomenal run. And you just love to see Scotland do something similar, have that run, do something special, have a special moment. With players like McTominay, you're almost expecting a special moment or something exciting to happen now. And I do think the fixtures are really interesting. I know people were disappointed to see Morocco and Brazil again, but these are entirely different teams. For me, it's the first time. And I'm really excited, and I think in the way that the fixtures are ordered also suits us as well. So when it comes down to the games, you've obviously got to beat Haiti. You've got to look to get a result against Morocco, and then I believe 4 points can do it because of the new league system, which is similar to the Euros, that the third place team can get through. So we've just got to, results wise, it's got to be 4 points. Who knows what can happen with Brazil? But it'll come upon us, and it'll be such an exciting time. And I'm sure, like yourself, Dave, will be watching at all hours of the day, because I think the kickoff times are quite unfavourable for us in Scotland. But I am excited for it. I not so much since I've moved to Aberdeen, but I used to watch Scotland quite a lot. There was a couple of years where I went to every home game, and it's just it is fantastic. It's fantastic to have a full packed Hampden. I'm not used to such attendances at St Johnstone or the Highland League where I'm more recently at, but yeah, to see sort of 50,000 fans, just singing and celebrating and having a great time. It's always enjoyable, and I look forward to maybe getting to one of the friendlies before the World Cup starts.
Yeah. Do you like your coffee? Because Rich, you'll need your coffee, especially for a high tea game, because that's at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, I do like my coffee, and I think I'll absolutely be on them. Yeah, I hopefully I'm not working the next day, but I think it should be a national holiday, maybe. What do you think?
I'm exactly the same. I'll give you wee bit of context because we're on the podcast. So, I'm originally from a small town called Portsoy, and it's actually the high tea game. That's actually the weekend of that boats festival, Portsoy. So, there's actually been an
Oh
outcry
yeah,
about trying to get a fan zone for that. But due to the fact the game's at 2 o'clock in the morning, the licensing and all that shebang, they can't obviously do it. So that's a disappointing thing as far as that's concerned. But yeah, the wee bit of improvising having to be done that weekend. But as you've correctly said, there's obviously a lot of fans who will go, but there's obviously a lot of fans who won't go either. The latter being obviously financially, but irrespective, hopefully we get the city councils to get fan zones in place and get local councils to get fan zones in place because you see with the Euros in Germany all over about how the country basically became aligned as a result of the fan zones in cities and towns and villages.
yeah. So I slightly lost you again. I think there's something about hopefully getting the fans in a position where they can watch the game. And yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree. I think it's on social hours, which is unfortunate, but for such a special occasion, um, but I'd like to see kind of common sense prevail. It's it's going to be tricky because you'd also, for example, Aberdeen Council, don't allow the later hours. There's probably a good chance that people will kind of just do things anyway. So you'd like to think that instead they can have a more of a sense approach and then maybe kind of regulate fan zones and the clubs and the bars and things and make sure that everybody can enjoy the game. But yeah, if not, then I'm sure people will be having parties and still enjoying it as much as they can.
absolutely, 100%. But you talked about obviously having Brazil and Morocco again. I think if you're of a certain age, and I'm not trying to be misogynist here, I think if you're a certain age, then yeah, it's a bit of a, oh no, here we go again. But see if you're something or an age below 1998, or even my age, 1995, I'm 30, even if you're that type of age, it's not really that big an issue for the younger Scotland fans.
No, exactly. Well, it is before my time. I am not was not around for those games. But I think even if you are, Brazil, from kind of how I look at it, are a totally different team. I think there's certainly a nostalgia for Brazil. Especially through the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. Brazil had that kind of untouchable aura with the real superstar players. Starting with Pele, but then going all the way through to Ronaldo and maybe Ronaldinho was a bit too young, but now Brazil, I think a lot of it is because Brazilian players play in Europe, so we're more familiar. Whereas back in the day, a lot of players would be like unknown. I remember my own dad's age, that he watched the World Cup in 1970. So it's kind of first World Cup he really sort of followed, and he said that players were coming on and you've never heard of them before, and they've got very exotic sounding names and looks, and they become superstars overnight. Whereas we know what to expect with Brazil these days. So I think that makes it a bit different. And I think Morocco as well, football in Africa and kind of the Arab world has changed drastically over the past couple of decades. I think Morocco and Egypt were probably the two maybe at the forefront of African football then, but Morocco obviously a world-class team now. We've just seen them. I believe they just won the Arab Cup, and they've just started the African Cup of Nations with a win. And the fact that they play a lot of games as well, even if it's not their first team, they're going to have a lot more kind of experience. And by the looks of it, they've got a huge player pool to draw from. So Morocco's going to be totally different. Brazil's going to be totally different, and Haiti will be again. We don't really know. I know that they have kind of horrendous issues in their country, and players aren't based there. I believe the manager's never even been to Haiti. Fans are going to not be allowed to attend America, which is such a shame. But they'll be motivated by this, and I'm sure they'll want to kind of give something back to Haiti, and give the fans something to be proud of. So we're going to expect there's a lot kind of different things to expect, and I'm really pleased we didn't get another European team as well. To have teams from different confederations, I think, is quite exciting too.
Yeah, Steve Clark and Ian Maxwell kind of made that point to the media following the draw. And it would have been, I don't know, I'm of the same opinion. I think if it was European nations, I'd have been a bit, oh, really, again?
Yeah, I think we're so used to. I think Scotland have had such a kind of funny run in the past few years of playing a lot of similar teams. There was the kind of thing where we played Israel several times over a couple of years, and you always seem to play. And European teams are largely set up quite similar. You kind of it's just not really got that excitement level that a team like Brazil, and I think also with the kind of fans and the media and the kind of everything that will go around alongside the football match. I think that'll be really exciting. Scotland fans are kind of world renowned for their kind of friendliness, and I think Brazil, for example, just having a chance to kind of mingle with their fans and have kind of fun in Miami, I think it's Florida. It just wouldn't quite have the same excitement if we were playing Hungary, for example, or God forbid we drew England. I think it's just a bit more exciting to have something a little bit different.
What's your best memory for? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, Oliver, but what's your best memory for in Scotland?
Oh, that's quite an easy one for me, actually, Dave, and I think my dad will totally agree, and that was McTominay's winner against Israel. There just seemed to be, there was a real edge on that game for reasons beyond football as well. But I think just the nature in which the game was won. Alex Ferguson had come out at half time and really riled the fans up, and there was like a great, fantastic atmosphere that day. And McTominay's kind of bizarre goal, I think it was off his knee or off his chin or something, but we didn't care at the time. It was just a fantastic celebration afterwards. So for me, it's a simple one. It was that win against Israel.
Oh, what a game! And then, as you said, that winner.
Yeah, it was just the whole occasion. I think that's what I said before about Scotland. You want it to be an occasion. You want it to be something different from your typical bread and butter league, throughout the year. So for Scotland to just deliver that game, and I think Scotland have been. There's been a lot of games like that where we've gone through the motions. We've had the kind of all the emotions of from despair to get all the kind of levels of happiness, and they really kind of delivered. Scotland is quite emotionally draining to watch sometimes, and that was one of those occasions where you're just exhausted with the excitement, on the bus home.
Yeah, but as you say, what a moment for Scotland fans coming up next year. Have you got any player arrangements already, or are you far too early? You're still at university, of course, and I guess that's the priority just now.
It is, yes. I've got one more semester at university, and then I will see what's like afterwards. But I think in terms of the World Cup, it's not something that interests me in the kind of travel sense. but I will enjoy watching it. I was lucky to, in my first year of university, was when the World Cup was on the Qatar edition, and it was the winter schedule. Like say my first semester, university in first year was not too strenuous for me, so I did spend a lot of that winter watching as many games as possible, doing a little bit of studying on it and a couple of exams here and there, but I largely watched that whole World Cup, which was quite a treat. So hopefully, depending on work, I'll watch as many games as well because I'm interested beyond Scotland as well. You know, that goes for my club football as well. I enjoy watching teams beyond St Johnstone, and when it comes to the international, you know, it'll be great. For example, Uzbekistan, a country that we really don't know much about. Um, but you know, it's really exciting what they're going to bring. I know they've got a couple of players creeping into European football now. I think there's a guy at Man City, and you know, what are they going to bring? Could they be a, you know, people love the term dark horse. They might be a dark horse. I think it'll just be great to see. Ultimately, I think it's quite hard to predict who will win as well. So, I think we are in for a good World Cup in footballing terms.
Yep, perfect. Thank you very much, Oliver. And yeah, more to Scotland.
Exactly. Let's just hope they don't come home too soon, as is always said.